Hey, my name is Ethan Lee Chalk, and this is the next episode of The Next Big Thing. And my guest today is Laura Hughes. How are you today, Laura?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Not a too early wake up for you this morning?
Not at all, not at all.
I was just wondering if you can speak a bit about your early life playing soccer. Or before that, sorry, do you call it football or soccer?
Football. But I understand in Australia there's so many codes, so you really got to say soccer.
I'll change the question then. Can you speak a bit about your early life playing football?
Yeah, I've pretty much started as most footballers do in the backyard with either their brother or dad, but I started with my brother and my neighbor, and we just play 2v1s and kick the ball around. And when I was about 7 or 8, I wanted to join my first club. So I joined Tuggeranong United, um, and yeah, just went from there. I played just junior football up until I was about 12 or 13, and then I joined the academy in Canberra. Um, it's now known as the Canberra United Academy,
Yeah.
but back then I think it was called the Emerging United or something like that. So yeah, then I was in that academy up until I was about 17, and I managed to get my first W League contract at 15 with one of my best mates, Carly. So, and it just went from there, really.
That must have been amazing playing at such a young age. Was that kind of like so surreal when you kind of like got the call to play?
Yeah, I think I was really lucky because being so young, like you've got to have a coach that wants to give you that chance. And I was lucky enough to get that chance at an early age. And yeah, it was incredible because I grew up watching Canberra United play all through my younger days. So I got to play with some of the players that I grew up watching. So that was pretty cool.
How did it kind of like come about the first time? Did you like get a call or did you know like weeks in advance that you were gonna play or how did that kind of happen?
Yeah, so I managed to make the Mini Matilda squad, which was we were doing a tour in Vietnam, and so when I got back from there, I got a call from Ray Dower, who was the Canberra United coach at the time, and she was also the ACTAS coach who I'd just played under
Yeah.
that previous year in the winter season. So I got a call from her to just come for a few training sessions, and I thought nothing of it. I thought just a few training sessions, like, but I was pretty nervous. So yeah, I just rocked up. Probably trained for about a week, and then she sat me and my friend Carly down and um, said they wanted to offer us a contract for this season.
Oh
And
wow.
we thought it was a joke at first. It was meant to be. Um, and then yeah, so then yeah, so yeah, that's where it really started.
And talking about a bit about that first match, do you remember it quite clearly now, or have you kind of like do you remember every single minute of when you're on the pitch?
Yeah, well, that season I got 20 minutes the whole season, which like I didn't expect to get much anyway. But yeah, it was a really good debut. I do remember it because it was in Gosford. We're
Yeah.
playing against Brisbane Roar, and it was a TV game because in my first season, not all the games were televised. So that game was televised, luckily, which was awesome. I got a good solid 20 minutes, touched the ball. My parents were there, and we won 5-1, maybe, I think it was.
Oh,
So,
that's a good victory to
like,
have.
yeah, so like it was a good one to remember. So, yeah, that's why it's sort of stuck with me.
Did all of your family and friends kind of like crowd like the TV?
Well, I think my parents were just there, but I had family, yeah, watching on the TV and stuff, and they were calling my parents and stuff. So yeah, I had a lot of support.
A lot of celebrations in the locker room afterwards?
Oh yeah, very much. Yeah, yeah, it was awesome.
How did you spoke a bit about playing with your brother and your dad? How did you first is that how you first became interested? And were you always kind of like a sporty person? Did you play other sports as well as football?
Yeah, I've always been pretty athletic when I was a kid, and that was my favorite subject. I enjoyed like cross country running and the athletic stuff. So yeah, I think naturally I just was drawn to sport, and then when I started kicking the ball around, I found a lot of joy in it. So I think yeah, that's pretty much yeah where it started.
Did you ever imagine you'd be playing professionally?
Oh Yeah, I don't know. I think when I was really young, I definitely thought about it, like where I wanted to get to. I didn't know how I was going to do it because I guess being that young, you don't really know what the pathway looks like and what it's like. But I remember from a young age wanting to play professionally and represent my national team and everything like that. So I think it was a goal from a very young age. Yeah.
And you spoke earlier about the young Matilda squad in Vietnam. How was that experience as a whole?
Oh yeah, it was awesome. It was a World Cup qualifier, or qualifier to get into the World Cup qualifiers, something like that. And I'm pretty sure we won every game. So that was really good, and I got to play quite a bit and stuff. So, yeah, that was an awesome experience because I'd never really traveled at all much. Like I traveled a bit interstate when I was younger, but that was the first time like traveling internationally and um, yeah, for me also is a pretty eye-opening experience because some of the countries we played, um, some of them didn't have shin pads. They had
Oh,
like
wow.
cardboard as their shin pads,
Yeah.
um, and that was pretty eye-opening. And yeah, so it just made me grateful for what I have and stuff. But yeah, it was still a really good experience, and I really enjoyed it.
What nations did you kind of verse over there while with the squad?
Um, oh, I think we played. Oh God, I can't remember now. Um, I think we played like it might have been like Kazakhstan. I think we played Vietnam, the home nation.
Because you don't
Um,
really hear a lot about those countries in like, the footballing world.
yeah, no, you don't. Not a lot. I think, as a youth Australian clubs usually do quite well against those sort of countries. But you find as you get older, like China and Korea and stuff, they're still really good on the first team, and the Matildas, they give them a good run for their money. So I think the football over there is really strong. But yeah, there are some countries that do struggle a bit.
Is that your end goal to kind of like, are you trying to like work towards playing for the Matildas one day?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's a goal of a lot of players want to play for their national team. It's a great honor. Um, I think for me, it's just being ready for that opportunity if it comes, because you never know when it may come. So yeah, I think it's definitely a goal of mine. But yeah, we'll just see what happens.
And women's football is growing so much, especially in the recent years. A lot more crowds, like, a lot more competitions, especially with Australia. You got the World Cup next year, you got like the Commonwealth Games, the Olympics coming up. Have you kind of seen, because you played at a young age, how have you kind of seen in like the 6 years, like, when you play professionally, kind of like, women's football like transition into like a global sport?
Yeah, I think I've seen it grow massively. Like my first season was like I would get, I think for the whole season or like a week, I was getting like $60 a week. Just like the pay has increased like crazy. Like the minimum now is like 20,000 for a
Oh, wow.
contract. Yeah, so it's like in those few years that I've watched it grow, it's gone crazy. And I think Australia has been playing catch up because it has blown up a bit more in Europe
Yeah.
with England winning the Euros, and the football over there is a lot more like longer term. There's a lot more games in the season. You've obviously got Champions League and everything like that. So I think Europe is the place to be, but I think Australia is catching up with. It's great that we have the World Cup next year. And then they're extending the W League. We've got 18 games this season instead of 12 to 14. And then that'll keep growing. So I think, yeah, it's grown massively, and I think it's heading in the right direction.
I saw you're a Liverpool fan as well. Is that correct?
It is, but I don't want to say it right now because we're not doing that well.
Is that kind of like if you had to pick one between either playing for Liverpool or playing for the Matildas, do you know which one you'd kind of choose?
Oh, I mean, they're both pretty different, but I think being a Liverpool fan, I've always wanted to play for Liverpool. It would have been crazy. But so I do follow their women's team, and they've just been promoted into the Super League because they got relegated a couple of seasons ago. So that's awesome that they're in, competing out with Chelsea and Arsenal and stuff. And yeah, so that could become a reality. We'll see in the future. I think that's where the place to be is at the moment, England. I think
Yeah.
the football there is like really good. The Super League's top quality, and even the league underneath it is really good as well. So yes, that would be surreal if I could play for Liverpool because I visited the city and yeah, I really like the city and stuff. So yeah, it's cool.
Heading into the new season now, just think it's like 1 week away or 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
What are kind of you guys finished seventh on the table last season? What are your kind of like expectations for this year for the club? And also personally, what are your goals you're trying to achieve in this season?
Yeah, I think the last few seasons with Canberra has been a struggle. I think we've lacked a lot of consistency. It's felt like it's been a new team every single year, and with the W League in the past being so short, it's hard to change a team every year because you've got to build that chemistry.
Yeah.
You find a lot of successful teams in the W League have kept their team pretty similar over the few seasons. So I think for us, with our new coach coming in, he's obviously said bare minimum he wants finals, and that's should be a goal of pretty much every W League club. You want to make finals. So I think that's one of the goals this season, and seeing how far we can go. But I think it's just about getting back on track, connecting back with our fans, giving our youngsters an opportunity, and just having a successful season, making finals really.
Yeah. And you have some international signings joining you this year. Hopefully I say their names right. Vesna Milovic, sorry,
Oh,
Vesna
you can probably say it better than me because I'm not sure.
from Serbia, and then also Kennedy Faulkner from Canada. How have they kind of settled into the club at the moment?
Yeah, really good. Vess is also Australian as well, so she's just happy to be back home because she's been playing in Serbia for the last couple of seasons. But yeah, Kennedy as well. Great person, great player as well. We've been able to get to know them the last few weeks, so yeah, no, they definitely add a lot to our team.
And you guys still have quite like a young roster, and like you've made some more signings and obviously re-signings yourself as well. Who is a player apart from you, of course, that we could should like kind of keep an eye on for the new season?
I think we have a lot of homegrown talent that we have here. We've got a great left back, Emilioski. She's doing really well this season, this preseason. Grace Ma, who's another fellow midfielder of mine. She's top quality, shoots from anywhere. So smart, and yeah, so I love playing alongside her. Obviously, Michelle Heyman's looking pretty sharp this season as well. So yeah, I think as a whole, I think our squad has a good, depth of young players and also some experience as well to balance that out. So I think all round we have a pretty all together squad.
Can we expect to see you take more shots on goal this year? Only the two so far.
Yes, definitely. I think that's one thing I'd like to improve this season is getting my stats up with goals and assists and sort of making a bit more noise for myself. So that would definitely be a goal of mine, yeah.
Have you got like a goal celebration lined up, ready to go?
Well, I mean, my first goal I scored, I just jumped in the air because I couldn't believe it went in. And then my next one, I collapsed to the floor because it was like the 90th minute and I was exhausted. So I never thought what I'd actually do when I score. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Not sure at the moment. But yeah, I guess we'll see in the moment because, yeah.
And going across, obviously, from your youth days and even like, before you played professionally, I was just wondering if you can describe like, the best goal that you've ever scored.
Ooh, best goal I ever scored. I mean, one that comes to mind, I don't score many headers, not being the tallest and really put in the box that often. But I remember, yeah, when I was probably 14, I think we were down a couple goals to this team, and my coach was furious. And my mate Carly whipped in a ball, and I hit it with my head back post. So that actually was quite good, and it didn't hurt. So yeah, I
Are you
think
sure
that
you're
was.
are you sure you're aiming for the goal?
Oh, definitely, I definitely was. I'm just glad it went in. But yeah, yeah, that's probably one that sticks out.
And not only have you played for Canberra, you also played in Iceland professionally. How was that experience? That must have been amazing.
Oh yeah, I loved it. Yeah, Iceland's like a beautiful country. They all speak English over there. I think if I was going to recommend someone to go to Europe for the first time playing, Iceland would be it because I got really good game time, and yeah, it's a decent league. I wanted to work on my physicality, and it's a very physical league, so it helped me in that sense. And I think it also gave me an opportunity to get away from Australia and be a bit more independent. I was
Yeah.
only 18 or 19 at the time, so that was really cool learning to live away from home because I think that's what you got to do when you want to play professional sport. You've got to be able to be comfortable living away from home a lot. So yeah, that was a great experience. I loved it.
Did you get to kind of like tour Iceland as well?
Yeah, like at the end of the season, me and a couple teammates we hired like a van that we could like live in, and we just like did a big circle around the country. And it's not a big country, honestly. Like it took us like maybe 8 days to get around the whole country. So, but yeah, we saw some crazy stuff. Like it's just like beautiful landscapes and glaciers, and yeah, it's awesome.
I know I have some Icelandic friends. I know they're very notoriously like, blonde hair, like blue eyes.
Yeah.
Was it, I see that you got brown hair. Was it kind of like weird? Were you like the only like brunette there or?
Yeah, I guess yeah, Scandinavia is a lot like blonde hair, blue eyes. I feel like people could probably tell because I lived with three other Americans and we all probably looked similar with dark hair. And I swear they would like some people would just like know we were foreign and just stare at us. But I don't think I stood out too much. But as soon as I opened my mouth, everyone was like, "Oh God, we've got an Aussie here." Like,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Pull out like the Aussie accent. Good day. How are you doing?
It was funny. Everyone loved my accent, but no one really cared too much about the Americans. Everyone just wanted to talk to me about the snakes and the spiders and all that stuff. Very funny.
Were you the only Aussie there in the team?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, they were just Icelandic, and then there were three Americans.
And who did you kind of learn from the most during your time there?
I had a really good coach. He was from the UK, so that was really good because there wasn't a massive language barrier. Um, and yeah, I learned a lot from him on the field and off the field. And the players I played with, there was one American that we used to through. It was through COVID, so there was times when our season would stop. So we used to just go train together when all our training sessions were off and stuff. So I learned a lot from her as well. And yeah, overall, it was just like a good development for me on the field and off the field as a person.
Was there much like of a language barrier, or you could like understand each other like perfectly?
Well, in Scandinavia, from my understanding, they actually learn English in school. So
Ah,
all
okay.
of them could speak English. A few of the younger ones are a bit like nervous to speak to us because they didn't want to like make a mistake, or even though I wouldn't even care because I can't even speak another language. But it was pretty easy over there. But yeah, because they all pretty much speak English.
You didn't need to learn Icelandic. You haven't brought any Icelandic
Oh,
back with you.
I tried to learn I tried to learn a few words, but I can't roll my tongue and so like it
Ah,
really limits me with like pretty much speaking any European language because I swear you could roll your freaking tongue for everything. So I could learn, yeah, I learned a few words on the field, but I could never stick to it.
and you just mentioned your coach who's helped you develop in Iceland, and you mentioned earlier your new coach in Canberra. Player wise at Canberra, who's kind of helped you develop the most as a midfielder?
Probably Grace Ma, that I mentioned before. We spent this winter season training together, hopefully trying to get a club overseas again.
Yeah.
And so we sort of were like looking out for each other and making sure both of us were working as hard as we could. So, and then over the years, she's always been a massive mentor for me in the midfield, and I've learned tons off her, and we literally like can't stop talking about football. Like it's all we talk about. So that's really good. So yeah, probably her.
And when you're younger, did you draw? Who did you kind of draw inspiration from, soccer wise, and like football wise, and also like family wise?
Obviously always my brother, really.
Yeah.
He taught me the the basic skills and everything in the backyard, and I always loved when he came and watched me play and stuff. So probably him at a young age. But when I started watching more football. Probably the likes of like Steven Gerrard was a massive one. I enjoy watching David Beckham, Felipe Coutinho, those sort of players. And then growing up, when I was watching Canberra United play, I loved watching Caitlin Munoz and Sally Shippard, and obviously Michelle. They were great to watch. Ash and Nicole as well. So yeah, I think I had a good balance of watching men's and women's football and having a lot of role models there as well.
Have you been able to meet Stevie G?
Not yet, but I was in the UK earlier this year and I went and watched Arsenal and Aston Villa, so I got to see him as a manager. And then a few years ago, I think Liverpool came and did a tour in Australia and I saw him play against Sydney FC. So just watched him from a distance, but no, I've never managed to meet him, unfortunately.
I surprisingly, you might hate me now. I was actually allowed to interview him when they came to Queensland, Villa versus Leeds.
Kidding.
So it was an amazing experience interviewing him in the press conference room.
That's so cool. That
I
is
was
awesome.
literally like 30 centimeters away from him. I'm like, my God,
Yeah.
an actual
Um,
legend.
I don't think I could get my words out.
Well,
Although,
I was definitely shaking. I can tell you that for sure.
oh, yeah, no, I'm not surprised. Yeah, that's awesome. Now I'm very jealous.
World Cup coming up as well. Sorry, the men's World Cup and obviously Women's World Cup for the men's. Who do you think will win it?
Ooh, I mean, I guess that's a tough one. Like France always have a really good squad. Spain, England also, but that's where they're cursed. So we'll see. We'll see how far they go. But yeah, that's a tough one. With a World Cup, it's whoever's better on the day. Sometimes it's hard to tell. I never saw Portugal winning the Euros a few years ago, but they managed to do that. So they've even got a really strong squad as well. But I'll be watching Wales play because they finally made a World Cup. Because I'm half Welsh, so yeah.
Or all reliant pretty much on Bale.
Exactly, exactly, yeah. Oh, we've got a good Liverpool let him go, but we've got a good fullback, Nico Williams, so he's really good. So hopefully he comes through as well.
You just mentioned that you're Welsh. If the opportunity was there, I know a lot of like players play like multi countries. They are born like have parents from either side or different nationalities. If Wales gave you a phone call, would you play for them?
Yeah, I definitely consider it. I think international football isn't easy to come by sometimes, and if you get the opportunity, really just gotta take it. Really, so yeah, I definitely would consider it. Yeah,
If you
my
did play,
family over there love it.
if you did play for them, for example, does that mean you can't play for Australia, or you got to wait like a
Yeah,
certain amount of number of years?
yeah, I'm not too sure how it works. From what my knowledge is, I'm pretty sure you can play youth, but I'm a bit past that now. But I think once you make your debut in a like a proper match, I'm not sure if friendlies count or not. I think you're like stuck with them then.
Yeah.
But if you don't play for them for a certain amount of years, could be like 5 years or something. I think you can go elsewhere. But I think once you make your debut, you're pretty set in stone.
And then Women's World Cup next year, will you be visiting a lot of the games? Have you kind of bought tickets? I know the tickets were out recently.
Well, I
Did
didn't
you
even
get any
realize they
free tickets?
were out. Not not yet, but I didn't even know they were out. And then one of my teammates was like, "Did you get any?" I was like, "She was like, oh, they're all sold out." So
Oh
I
no.
have to try and just salvage something because yeah, I want to go watch some. So we'll see. But yeah, I'd love to.
You kind of got to convince like the board and like the coach to kind of just get some friendlies like between Canberra and some of the international teams.
Yeah, that would be hard, but really good.
And
We'll
what
play
does your what does your training schedule look like at the moment? Do you have time to like fit other things in, or is it just football, football, football?
Um, well, at the moment we're probably doing about we do about two gym sessions a week, and then probably probably get 2 days off a week, like off football.
Yeah.
It does take up a lot of our time, but I'm studying part time, so that's also keeping me busy and stuff. So yeah, it is. It's pretty full on. It gets more full on during the season when you've got to fit in games and travel and all that. So at the moment, it's not too hectic, but yeah, no, it's good.
And what are you kind of like currently studying at the moment?
I just started studying Bachelor of Exercise Science.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm a couple of years out of school and I sort of took a couple of gap years because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't want to rush into anything.
Yep.
Um, but I've sort of figured it out. And yeah, so yeah, that's been interesting. Since I've been out of school for a little bit, I've had to relearn everything. I don't know how to reference.
Oh no.
Definitely.
Just a couple more questions. What has been obviously junior Matildas has to be one, and playing professionally at a young age. What's been the highlight of your career so far? If you could only pick one or narrow it down to a couple.
Um, Obviously, I don't score much, so probably the couple of goals that I've scored for Canberra so far. The best one would have been 2 seasons ago, because it was our first game of the season and we were down 2-0 at home. And that second half we came out and we won 4-3. So when I scored in that game, probably that game, because it was like 90th minute and I chipped the goalkeeper. And as I saw it went in, I just like collapsed on the ground because I was so exhausted. And like I just closed my eyes and like took in the moment. And yeah, probably that moment was pretty cool.
How far ahead are you kind of looking into the future? I know you've played 6 years, but you're still only 21, which is like an amazing feat. How
Yeah.
far are you like looking ahead in the future? Like, your end goals that you want to achieve.
Yeah, I think obviously being in this lifestyle for a little bit now, I want to do it for the rest of my career, like as long as I can play for. So I don't think I've hit a peak yet at all. I think I just have to keep my head down and keep working, and I think um, yeah, I'll hit my peak soon. And yeah, I just want to pretty much play for the as long as I can at the highest level and just be the develop into the best player I can be. That's all I can really do. So I think yeah, probably that.
Just one more question to round up the interview. What advice would you give to the younger girls who are hoping to become footballers one day?
Um, I think consistency is the biggest thing. I think, you're not going to see results. Some people do, but you're not always going to see a result in a year or a few weeks or a few months. Sometimes these things can take a few years for you to develop. So if you can stay as consistent as possible, you stay ready for the, being in the right sort of position to get the opportunity to, do something with it. So I think, yeah, being consistent and not shying away or getting discouraged when something doesn't go your way, because unfortunately that's elite sport and football, and
Yeah.
sometimes things don't go your way, but you've just got to keep at it and stay consistent.
Thank you so much for coming in and joining me for the next big thing.
No worries. Thanks for having me.